Today's guest, Tony Harris, started his long and successful career in broadcasting way back in his native Baltimore, where he was a disc jockey.
Oh my God. We're not going to do that, are we, Melissa? We're not going to go that far back, are we?
Okay, but will you please say your old call sign? Do you know it?
Yeah. In Baltimore, it was, I worked for 3 stations at the same time. So I worked for WSID.
AM.
Worked for WLPL, which was W, the land of pleasant living, right? Then it was a radio station in Washington, D.C., and I can't remember that one.
Well, but did you go like, it's WSID AM?
Well, here's the thing. I was like 19 years old, and I was playing Sam Cooke records. I couldn't relate to that material, right?
Right.
But it was an oldies. It was an oldies station. I'm 19 years old. I wanted to hit the new stuff, and I was playing oldies. And then I moved over to WLPL, and that was a rock and roll AOR. You remember the old AOR format? No, you're too young. And then it was OK 100 in Washington, D.C., and that was like the burgeoning of what we now call urban radio, right?
Right. Okay, but then you went on to CNN, Al Jazeera. You earned yourself not 1, but 2 Peabody Awards for the BP oil spill and Hurricane Katrina, as well as a DuPont Award for covering the destructive Southeast Asian tsunami in 2004. You moved on to investigative discovery with Hate in America in 2015, which I watched, which was amazing, as well as the 6-part series Scene of the Crime. You helmed the podcast Monster DC Sniper, and I had to take a deep breath there. Since 2021, you hosted The Truth Is Out There on the History Channel. The show's 4th season, begins June 9th with a new episode every Friday night. Hi, Tony Harris.
So I just, in all of that, the thing that is amazing to me is that it's you reading it to me. It's you talking to me, that it is you. You know, I did a stint at Entertainment Tonight where, your mom, I mean, so anyway, that you would be interested in our show is just amazing to me. So it's great to be with you.
Well, I'm interested in all this kind of stuff. My mother was like on Celebrity Ghost Hunters and all that stuff. And I'm a big true crime person, which is how I first discovered you. Because I and my mother, we were both true crime junkies.
You're the audience. You know that, right? You are the audience. It's programming for women.
Well, first of all, I need to so deeply thank you for making my sleep issues even worse by showing me a decapitated fish that can bite through metal. I appreciate that. I so appreciate it.
Just so you know, it's doing really bad things to me as well. So there you go.
Oh, that's going to make me feel better at 3 a.m. laying in my bed going, I wonder if Tony's awake being haunted by these frickin' images.
Well, we'll jump on a Zoom or jump on a call. Are you watching this? Are you awake? Are you frightened as I am? Okay. There you go.
Yeah. The decapitated fish reminded me of when they used to say, like, when people were decapitated and they'd hold up the head and the lips would still be moving.
Yes.
It's the same principle.
That's the principle at work. Yes.
Which is the nerves in the blood that's oxygenated keeps going.
Well, you're giving away the verdict.
Okay, I'm sorry. People need to be aware that the fish that can chew through a soda can, there's a reason for it. Sorry if I did a ruin the reveal.
The proof is out there, and we will reveal it.
Exactly. But a newspaper called The Truth Is Out There as a serious cross between America's Funniest Home Videos and the X-Files. I mean, that is a very interesting description, but it's a great one.
It really is. Olivia hasn't sent that one to me. So Olivia, I need to see that one. That's terrific. We accept that. Yes.
We
accept it.
I would watch that.
Yeah. I mean, we've had this terrific run. I mean, the origins of the show are pretty humble. You know, we like everyone else on the team, you know, we're fascinated by Bigfoot stories and we're fascinated by the Loch Ness Monster mythology and everything around it. And so we said, well, why don't we create a show around that? And then, you know, do this new thing, which is because there's got to be a twist, right? So the new thing is crowdsource this thing and let's get everyone to play along. And the success of the show is really due to the fact that people have said, okay, I'll play. and they're sending us all of this video of things that they're interested in that they can't explain, and they want us to explain it. So we put a great team together. It's pretty simple. We put a great team together, add water, stir. And I guess the other thing that we do is we come up with a verdict. So you send us your video, you're confused by it, you want us to explain it. And we send it to our experts. We've got an ever-expanding list of experts who have joined the show over the course of the 3, however many seasons this is.
You're starting your 4th.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The mortgage company will be happy to hear that. And that's it. That's the secret of the success of the show, that people have decided, you're worth investing time in, and here's some video. What the hell is it?
Okay, 2 questions. I'm going to switch the order. One is, are there ever videos that are so obviously fake that people are just trying to get in the show, where you're like, come on, people, be serious. I'm not going to buy this.
Melissa, that's it. That's where the show has grown to that point that you just hit on right there. That's it. Nail on head, right? So we're at a point now where, because of the success of the show, people are first thing is the ability to fake videos is astounding. The technology that's out there, right?
Right.
To fake, you do amazing fakes. That's out there. And so we've gotten to a place now where people want to fool us.
So that's become a separate challenge. But I'm wondering, are there, teenage boys where you can see the fishing line and the thing moving across the street?
Yes, it's Melissa, it's a real show.
I know.
We have real experts. You're not getting on the show. You're not getting on the show with a wire between 2 cans and calling it a telephone, right? You're not getting on our show. You'd better be much more advanced than that. And they are. And the technology is out there for folks to come up with incredibly kind of ingenious approaches to deep fakes, the deepest fakes. And so that's like a separate category of our show, which maybe we'll do extra episodes and put them online or something, of the links that people will go to trick us to get on the show. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
I think that's absolutely a must, because that's actually a whole separate show.
Right.
Were you always a skeptic? Were you always interested in getting answers to the unanswerable, but really looking at it with a very critical eye?
Okay, so another wonderful question. It's why you do what you do. I have, the superpower for me is curiosity, and as it is for you. So yes, the answer to the question is yes, and but it is a balance between having an open mind, thinking that I have no clue as to what is possible in the universe. Oh, and how many universes are out there? What's possible in the galaxy? Oh, and how many galaxies? All right. So I've never, as it pertains to this show, I've never been one who has said, I've been the person who believes that we're not alone in the universe. That's just, that's just the way I'm wired. But when you find yourself in this journalism space, you have to put on the skepticism hat. You just have to. I think a lot of the issues that we've had over the last, and this is the only thing vaguely political I'll say, is over the last 6-7 years, is the fact that too many of the folks who do what I do have just been willing to put the skepticism hat aside, right? So maybe we can get back to more of that as we go into this next election cycle, where people put it on and they start to do the job the way they were trained to do the job. And so for me, I've always been curious. I've always had an open mind. But when you come into this space, the thing that you are overwhelmed by immediately is how much you don't know, right? So I keep listening to these experts that we bring on board, and they're just so smart. And I'm thinking, as a journalist, I'm going to ask them the well-prepared, well-thought-out, multi-dimensional, multi-layered question. And they've got me humbled and quivering in the corner like a little child, right? Because they're so smart. And for me, it's the frustration of that is that I'm so used to politics. I understand the economy. I understand. I know all of that stuff, right? I understand, what happens to people in very traumatic situations. I've covered that forever. But to be talking about, 1,000 leagues below the sea, what's in the space, what's in this galaxy, what's in this black hole. Oh, black holes are real. I mean, it just exposes just how much I don't know about the world that I inhabit. And that's been fascinating. I hope we do 10 years just because I'll get smarter, so much smarter in that time.
Well, and the mortgage company will be happy.
And yes, by that time, it'll be the mortgage company on the next house. Hey, now.
Oh, geez, show off. You brought up something very interesting, which is in an interview you talked about you are more interested in what's under the sea, personally.
Yes, and
why?
The world, because we know so little about it. I saw something recently, and someone was saying this very same thing: is there's just so much that we don't know, about what's in the oceans. Loch Ness is 750 feet deep, and we can't really know what's there because it's so murky. But what's there? Is it a descendant of a plesiosaur from X number of years ago, or is it a gigantic eel? I think at this point we know there's something down there, or several somethings down there, but what, right? And so I at some point here, I'm going to get off my lazy ass and I'm going to do the thing I keep saying I'm going to do. Is I'm going to learn how to dive. I'm going to become a certified diver, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to, I'm going to venture. I'm going to do the big adventure of just going underwater more and spending more time underwater and just seeing if I can understand that space. We're investing a lot of energy and a lot of dollars in, what's in the skies.
Have you personally, and not through the show, experienced something that you couldn't explain? And I don't mean raising a teenager.
How about raising two? Would that qualify?
Yeah, that's just stupid. That's just stupid.
That's just signing up for self-flagellation. Why would you do that? Why would you do a Shora again and again and again every day, right? So I think the answer to that is no. And from where I sit, I think that maybe brings more credibility to the work that I'm trying to do on the show. I mean, I'm sitting here saying I have an open mind to all of this, but no, I have not experienced something that I can't explain. I haven't had a sighting. I haven't had a visit. But I listen very closely and very intently to people who talk about their experiences, and I want to know, and I want to dissect that. But no, I'm not sitting here saying, hey, look, I'm the perfect person to do this show because I've had experiences. No, I take the work seriously. I have spent 40 years doing this work, and so at the moment at which I tell you I've had an experience, I will have had an experience.
Right. Yet some of the stories, for example, the sound boom in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
And your experts come back with, we don't know. Does that make you crazy? Because I would think you're trained to get to the answer no matter what.
The answer is yes, 1,000 times over. And so, I think we're updating that story on Friday's episode. But yes, I mean, there are pieces of video that we get that we can't render a verdict on, and that's really frustrating. And my admonition is just let's stay with it. We've expanded the staff of producers on the show. We started out with like 8 or 10 shows a couple of years ago, and now we're up to like 40 shows. We're probably over 100 episodes of the show, so we've had to expand the staff, and that's just all credit to the audience. The audience has found us and thinks we're worth spending some time with, right? So, we've expanded the staff. We've expanded the expert class as well. And it's frustrating. I think a lot of what is unknowable now is knowable or will be knowable soon. The technology gets better and better. I mean, I can't even explain to you what's happening, and maybe we'll talk about it later, but I can't explain to you what's happening with AI right now, right? So that's going to provide some answers. It's going to confuse us a lot. But I think the shows, the name of the show, The Proof Is Out There, is something that we believe. We believe we could find answers to a lot of today's mysteries. And so it is frustrating when we are inconclusive. We remind people that we call things UFOs or UAPs because we just can't identify them, not saying that they're alien craft or whatever else. But we don't know what it is. And we don't know why so many of these sightings are around military facilities. And that's concerning. And part of us saying that we think a lot of this is knowable is because the government knows a lot more than it's telling us. And we hope to be able to unlock some of that, over the course of time.
Do you think, and I don't know why this just popped into my head, you talk about that there's been, 142 military jet sightings of things, and 141 of them have been able to be, or not explainable.
Yes.
Do you wonder if the government, and I am not a conspiracy theorist by any stretch of the imagination, that they're purposely letting us think that they don't know what they are?
And a twist in the wind on this.
Yeah.
Right? Look, I mean, there's an honest answer, and then there's kind of a cute answer to that. So the honest answer is, I believe the military and the government knows a lot more about what we're seeing than they're letting on. There's a perfectly plausible explanation for the sightings of a military bases that's experimentation, right?
Right.
That's totally plausible. And then you can also understand why they wouldn't want to tell us that, because telling us is telling multiple audiences. Right. I get that. But some of these things, I just think, I don't quite get the degree of secrecy around much of what counts as government and protecting us. I don't get a lot of that. And I think there's a lot more that we can know. The kind of cynical answer to this, the cute answer to this is for as long as the government wants to hold this information so close to the vest, we get more opportunities to do more shows and to pick away at it, right?
Which is fantastic. I do want to talk about other parts of your career because it is so fascinating. I mean, you were in Hurricane Katrina and the BP oil spill, Southeast Asia with the tsunami. How do you keep, and I wonder about this all the time with journalists, how do you keep emotions out of it? I mean, I understand being able to do it on the air. How do you keep it together off the air? Because I wonder about that. Like, I remember one of my favorites was Sarah Snyder on CNN when finally she got emotional. And it made me love her more because I'm like, what this woman has been doing in keeping it together all these months, it is affecting her a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
But how do you keep that distance? I mean, she made it like a year without cracking. Do you just cry off camera?
So there are a couple of answers to that. And the Seidner example is a terrific one. I've known Sarah forever.
She's brilliant.
Yeah. I'll tell you a quick story, and I won't go long with this. I was anchoring in Atlanta, and Sarah was covering what we were calling the explosion of Mumbai. Mumbai is on fire. And it was when the terrorist went into the hotel and just wreaked havoc. And Sarah was covering it live for us. And she was in the middle of an open space, and agitators were closing in on her. And she was getting handled, right? And it was getting dangerous. And I'll never forget this. I'm on the air as this is happening, and I take us down. I take us off the air because the camera lights, were drawing all these knuckleheads, right? And I took us down, and, not a great moment for some of the management at the time at CNN. They were upset that we took her down because they wanted the conflict, they wanted the drama, but Sarah was not safe, right?
Right.
But that's just to speak to her brilliance. She kept it together there, and I did what I felt I needed to do in that moment, which was to take her off the air and shut the lights down and get these chuckleheads to move on. The answer to your question is, for me, how I process those moments. And the Southeast Asia tsunami is a perfect example. We went on the air first thing in the morning, and there were like 9,000 dead. There were over 100,000 dead by the time we finished our shift about 9-10 hours later, which is just a horrific thing, right? You can't even comprehend in a human way those numbers. I've always felt that I had the information, and more than anything, I had to keep it together because I needed to get the information out. That's the simplest expression of how I dealt with it. I had to get the information out.
But what happens when the lights go down? Is that when you just shudder? I mean, doing what you do, you have to be incredibly mentally disciplined.
Because you're talking to people, and there's information flooding your ear from producers, from the control room, and there are people running documents to you, and this, that, and the other. That's what a breaking news situation is all about. And when I started in this business, I did not handle those situations very well. And I think at the end of my time at CNN, and certainly with Jazeera, it became one of my strengths because my approach was just to talk to people. It wasn't to be an anchor, it wasn't to be a reporter. It was just to walk through this traumatic moment with people as a human being. I just learned how to process it. You understand the weight and the gravity of what you're dealing with, but I could never allow myself to be pulled that deeply into it emotionally. I always was afraid that if I did, I wouldn't be able to continue to do the job.
Which is vastly different than your time at Entertainment Tonight. Sorry, had to break the tension there.
Thank you for taking me off that limb. Thank you. Because it was cracking fast. Thank you.
Well, I just find it fascinating that emotional and mental discipline. And it's such a, but that's why you win Peabody's.
I just didn't think I could get it. I wasn't sure that I would be able to get it back. If I lost it, I wasn't sure that, my daughter had ear infections, and that destroyed me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I get that.
Right? Destroyed me, right? To see her in such agony, right? I'm holding her in my arm when they put her under and she goes limp, and I'm destroyed.
Oh, forget it.
Right? You know what I'm talking about.
Forget it.
Destroyed.
It's all over. Oh my God, I can't.
If I ever made that connection to the work I was doing in a tragedy, I'm not sure I could get it back. So I just was able to manage to keep the distance.
Which is amazing. Let's talk a little bit, because I think this is become, if not this season on your show, I would assume next season on Proof Is Out There, AI.
Yes.
Now, you've got to worry when the chat guys are testifying in front of Congress. Oh my God, we've released the Kraken and we're sorry.
Regulate us, and I'm not sure you can regulate us effectively. Anything you do today to regulate us is going to be obsolete tomorrow. Yeah,
but it is frightening that the guys who are making money off this went, ooh, our bad. That's frightening.
So, I get that technology continues to evolve, or we wouldn't enjoy, so many of the comforts, and life wouldn't be as easy as it can be for some of us now. I get that technology evolves and we need it. And you're never going to stop a curious mind. They're not going to stop you. They're not going to stop me. That's curious minds go where they go, right? So I get all of that. But there are societal consequences to some of this stuff. And I just think we have to be really smart about what we're investing in. And we need to talk about, some people we know that even the best technology can be used for bad purposes. And so there's a former colleague of mine, and I'm blanking on his name, but he just wrote a book. He's with NBC and MSNBC now. You probably, if I could think of his name, you would know him. And he was working with us at Jazeera, and he's terrific on this subject. And I'll send you a note, and you can sort of blast him out. But he's doing tremendous work in this space. And he wrote about this a year ago. He was working on his book more than a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and it's just out and now about to go in the paperback. And it's just tremendous. And he says, you know what? the book needs updates because it's moving that quickly. I don't know where it goes. I'm not afraid. I don't walk through this planet and this life afraid very much, right? We love our kids, and so we worry and we want them to be, safe and happy and find love and all those things. But I don't walk through life afraid. I think we can figure it out. I think there will be some wreckage until we do figure it out. But I think we're smart enough to understand that we've got technology. We've got the Oppenheimer movie coming out this summer, right? About nuclear weapons, right? And I don't know that we've done the best job of building in mutual assured destruction, but we're at a place now where we can have conversations about that. I think we will figure out the dangers of AI, and I think we will find a way not to let it eat our lunch. Do you feel that way?
I find it really frightening, especially in the world that we're living in. And
well, tell me why.
And because, well, first of all, I'm going to use the example you and I were discussing earlier. And if people haven't seen it, look up Jonathan Turley, who was a law professor, and somewhere a chat bot or whatever randomly put him on a list of saying that he sexually harassed someone, which he never had, and they couldn't get it down. That's what's scary. And, and I can only...
of it to destroy people's lives and reputations, and yeah.
Right, and then you can say, oh, well, here's the photographic proof. I mean, I go back to my favorite one thus far that took me a minute, was when they put the Pope in the big white puffer coat. Yes. I loved that. I'm like, ooh, Italian designer on the coat, on the Pope. I'm like, wow, I was like, from a fashion point of view, I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. And then I realized it was completely wrong.
And by the way, I half didn't believe that you were interested in our show, or I would have dressed better.
No, I am. I think it's very, very frightening. I think it changes us to a situation where you're guilty until proven innocent. And I don't know how we're going to thread the needle yet, because I don't think the technology in figuring out what is I think we haven't quite perfected how to reverse engineer to find proof that it's a fake. I know
we're getting there. We're
getting there.
Show. Yeah, even on our little show, we're getting there. But you're right; it's still a challenge for us. But everything you just said speaks to the need for journalists and scientists to really collaborate to get at the truth, to find the proof, right? And so and what's frustrating to me is we're at a time now where we need journalists to be at their best, on top of their game. And in far too many cases, we're just not.
Right.
And everything you just said speaks to a need. We've got to have journalists doing their best work now.
Well, you do a lot of your best work. I do have a question and a mystery that I'm going to pitch out there.
Come on. I got a pen in hand.
Okay. I think it's something you can relate to. Yeah. I'm asking for a friend, of course. Okay. Why can't a 22-year-old college kid hear his mother calling him from the next room for 10 minutes, but they can hear their cell phone buzzing downstairs at the furthest end of the house? My friends have witnessed this same phenomenon.
I'm going to the glasses.
Please. I think you may have witnessed this too. You talked about that you've never witnessed any of these things, but the age of your children, I'm thinking you may have.
So, I'm putting a murderer's row of talent together to solve this, okay?
Please.
Stay with me. We'll put Mark D'Antonio on video, Amy Title on journalism, Michio Kaku on the physics of it.
Love that.
Michael Primo and his father on the audio of it.
Oh, of course.
On the audio of it. And then we'll put Juan Hernandez, he's a meteorologist. We'll find a way to put him in the band. Okay, we'll put him on congas.
Yeah.
And we'll figure it out.
I think I may have your season finale right there.
If not, have me back for season 4, and we will have the riddle solved.
I am so excited. The proof is out there on the History Channel. The show's actual 4th season begins June 9th with new episodes every Friday. I could talk to you forever. You're smart, you're funny, and you just get it. And it has been a pleasure having you on the show.
I can't believe Melissa Rivers is interested in our show. I am tickled to death. We have broken through the zeitgeist.
There you go. Now we can do a spin-off, which is the mystery of people making poor fashion choices.
Whatever you want, I'm there. God love you. Appreciate you so much.